Hi friends, today we'll talk about the planet Ketu. Okay, planet Ketu, how it is placed in your D1 chart. I'll make a video on Navamsha chart or D9 chart and Ketu's placement in D9 chart later on. But today we'll talk about Ketu, planet Ketu, how it is connected to your past life, karma. Okay, it is connected to, planet Ketu is connected to your past life lessons. Alright, how they are going to shape your life in the present. Okay, all the lessons that you have learned from your previous life or previous incarnations, how they are going to shape your life in this current lifetime. All that we can decode from Ketu's placement in your D1 chart. So we'll talk about that. Now friends, Ketu in all zodiac signs and in all houses, in all 12 houses and 12 signs. Alright. So, and also what will happen when Ketu's dispositor is in a certain house. Okay. Alright. So first of all, before going to the respective zodiac sign or house, I would mention that Ketu is actually the planet which is connected to your past life, to even to your ancestors, forefathers. Okay, in Bhrigunandinari Jyotish, Ketu is significator of paternal grandmother. So Ketu is connected to your maternal grandfather. Okay, maternal grandfather and paternal grandmother. Alright, Ketu is connected definitely to your roots, to your origin. Ketu is the planet of transformation. Ketu is connected to intuition. Alright, so it is connected to mystery, even secrecy. It is connected to religious worship. It is connected to spirituality, even moksha. It is connected to detachment. Alright, so what will happen when you have Ketu in a certain house and or zodiac sign? So let's get started. Now friends, before going again, one more thing. Ketu's dispositor. What do you mean by dispositor? Suppose Ketu is in a certain zodiac sign. Say Ketu is in Gemini in your birth chart. Then Gemini sign is ruled by Mercury. You need to find out how Mercury is placed in the chart. Then Mercury will become Ketu's dispositor. If Ketu is in Sagittarius, then Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Then Jupiter will become Ketu's dispositor. So you need to also look at, how Ketu's dispositor is placed. That is also very important. In which house Ketu's dispositor is placed. That is also very important. In whichever house Ketu's dispositor will be placed, that house will also to a great extent be influenced by Ketu. Okay, in your D1 chart. So in which house Ketu's dispositor is placed, that also you should find out. Alright, so now let's move to Ketu in Aries or Ketu in your first house of your D1 chart. Okay, so what kind of results you can get? If Ketu is in Aries or if it is in house 1, then we can say that if Ketu is not so well placed, then it can definitely give rise to confusion, because Ketu is a headless planet. Okay, it is the south node of the moon. It is the dragon's tail, so it can give rise to confusion. Now Ketu in the first house or Aries, you will feel that you may, in the initial part of your life, you may not know what is the purpose of your life and you may be totally perplexed. Okay, so this can happen. Okay, if Ketu is not well placed, then this confusion will remain, and you will remain in this state of perplexity. You will always remain in quest of your real purpose of life. If it is not well placed, you may not be able to attain self-realization. And it can create obstacles in your life and problems for you. Okay? You may get into conflicts with people. Okay? There will be ups and downs in your life. These things can happen. Okay? You may have to face some any sort of tragedy in life. Okay? It may be the cause of sorrow also. But if Ketu is well placed, that is how Ketu is placed in which zodiac sign, and also how Ketu's dispositor is placed in the chart, that also you should know, you should find out. If Ketu's dispositor is also well placed, then definitely such a person will eventually figure out what is the purpose of their life, and they will be able to focus on their goal of life, and they will be able to attain their life goal. They can attain self-realization. They will focus on their life. They will have great analytical skills. They can also be very religious or spiritual. Okay, they could be detached from worldly matters, but they will always be in quest of their self. Okay, they will indulge in self-introspection, and they will try to attain self-realization. Okay, they can move towards spirituality also. They will want to explore the real meaning of life and their existence. So they can do very well because first house is again part of the Dharma Trikona, the trine of duty, personality, your inherent nature. So they can be highly intuitive. They can have great compassion for people, for the unprivileged. They can do very well in any field of occult knowledge, in any field of study in which you require to do research, investigation. It could be psychology, it could be medical science research, it could be surgery, the field of surgery, it could be even the field of law. So in whichever field you need to do investigation research, in such fields they will do very well, and they will focus on their growth and development if it is well placed. And Ketu is also the flag of victory. Then finally they will attain victory. They will be successful in all their endeavors, and they will also be able to kind of decode the real meaning, the real purpose of their life. Alright, so now let's move on to Ketu in and yes, if Ketu's dispositor is also in the first house, no matter wherever Ketu is placed in your chart, if Ketu's dispositor is also going to the first house, then you can experience similar results which I mentioned just now. Now let's move on to Ketu in the second house or in the sign of Taurus. Okay, when Ketu is in the second house or in the sign of Taurus, it can show that in your past life maybe you focused a lot on money. Okay, you were too much focused or too much obsessed about your family, about attaining money, wealth. So in this lifetime you are kind of a little detached, okay, from these matters. It can happen. Alright, but the past life lessons, they are going to actually shape your life in this present time. So when you have Ketu in the second house, you might get into conflicts with your family, or if you have Ketu in Taurus, you might get into conflicts with your family, but you need to love your family, because Ketu has a heart. Ketu can feel. Ketu is also the planet of compassion, okay, intuition. So you need to actually love your family, and Ketu is also connected to discipline. Okay, Ketu is connected to, being traditional. When you believe in your roots, your culture, okay. So then if Ketu is well placed in the second house, you can have traditional values, You will have respect for your own culture. Okay, you will go to the depth of things to make to understand what culture you really belong to, and you will have love for your culture. You will feel deeply connected to your family, even if you might be away. Okay, if Ketu is more or less well placed, its dispositor is also well placed, and if Ketu is in the second house or in the sign of Taurus, then whenever you speak, you will speak after analyzing things properly. And whatever you speak, your speech will be based on your penetrating intellect and ability to see through things, to analyze things critically. And so you can be very good if you have a well placed Ketu in the second house. You can give very good advice, suggestions to people. You can also be a very good counselor. Okay, and a well placed Ketu in the second house will enable you to eventually gain wealth also. Okay, you can eventually gain wealth if you really focus on, definitely, on your endeavors. Okay, if you really know how to focus on your work, then Ketu in the second house, because you may be blessed with intelligence and insights also. Okay, this is part of the Artha Trikona, the second house, that is a trine of materialistic pursuits, 2, 6, 10. So here, if you have Ketu, and if Ketu is well placed, then you will be very methodical in your approach. You will be very disciplined actually. Ketu can make you very disciplined, very organized, systematic. You will have an eye for meticulous details. You will be very detail oriented, and it can bless you with sharp intellect. It can bless you with analytical ability, which can enable you to rise in your profession and also to earn wealth. So all these good results will happen. But if Ketu is not so well placed in the second house, or if Ketu is in Taurus and the dispositor is not well placed, then you may encounter obstacles in earning wealth. Okay, it also can happen. All right, you may be restless, you may feel financially insecure. Okay, on the one hand, you may feel that you are detached from the work you do, you're detached even from wealth at times, you may feel, but on the other hand, you may feel insecure about wealth. So these things can happen when Ketu is not so well placed in the second house or in Taurus. Now let's move on to, if the dispositor is not so well placed when Ketu is in Taurus. Such results you can also experience when you have Ketu's dispositor in the second house, in the D1 chart. No matter where Ketu is placed, if you have Ketu's dispositor in the second house, you can experience these results which I mentioned just now. Okay, if Ketu is well placed, you will be very disciplined, methodical. You will take food also in time. Okay, you will believe in doing some meditation, some exercise. You will take care of your health. You will be very disciplined, and you will focus on your work, which will eventually make you successful, and you will end up even earning wealth. Now let's move on to Ketu in the third house, or Ketu in Gemini. This is generally considered to be good if, again, Ketu is well placed. It is in Gemini, okay, and it's if Ketu's dispositor, that is Mercury in the chart, if it is well placed, then you will get good results. Okay, so especially if we will say Ketu in the third house is well placed when, say, it is aspected by Jupiter or by a very benefic ninth lord. When it is being aspected, then it is very positive actually. and Ketu is in Gemini if Mercury is well placed. So that is how we decide whether the planet is well placed in a particular sign or house. So if it is more or less well placed in the 3rd house, or if Ketu is in Gemini, then, and if Mercury is well placed, then we can say that you can do very well in any field which is connected to communication skills. You can be a very good writer, painter. So here actually 3rd house is connected to communication skills, to all those skills that involve the use of hands, even handicrafts, okay, so even sculpture. So you can be very good at writing, you can be a very good journalist, you can be very successful in the field of media, okay, and you can have great communication skills. And here if Ketu is well placed, you have also in-depth understanding of things, you have great analytical skills also, and it is in the house of communication skills. So you can be a very good counselor, a very good teacher, a very good guide to people. You can go into counseling, any sort of counseling, whether you're an astrological astrology consultant, whether you are whether you are a psychological counselor. So you can do very well in counseling, okay. Here if Ketu is placed in Gemini, you can also do well in the field of law, definitely. In any field which is connected to in-depth study, research, investigation, you will do very well if Ketu is well placed in Gemini. Okay, that's important. But you have to conduct research, investigation. You have to go to the depth of things critically. You have to analyze things well. 1 second. You can come, no problem. You can come. Yeah. So, alright. So, these results you can expect when Ketu is in the 3rd house or even in Gemini. Now if Ketu is in the 3rd house, and yeah, friends, just give me 1 second. Yeah, just a second. Sorry for the interruption, friends. I'm very sorry. Just a second. Yeah. So if Ketu is in the 3rd house and if it is not so well placed, if it is well placed, again your younger siblings, they can also be very intelligent, okay. They can be very analytical in nature. They can do very well in the field of research. Your younger siblings may undertake foreign travel successfully and all that. But again, if Ketu is not so well placed in the 3rd house or in Gemini, then your younger siblings, there can be ups and downs in their life, okay. There will be they may have to undergo some suffering in life. That is also possible, okay. Their health may have ups and downs. Anything can happen. All right. So these results you can get. And if Ketu is not so well placed in the 3rd house or in Gemini, you will be very confused, because 3rd house is the house of your interests, hobbies, your skills, okay, your talents. So you can be very confused. It is the house of your efforts, your courage, your willpower. So you will not know what to follow actually, which way I should go, okay, what kind of skill I should acquire to become successful in life. So all these questions, will come to you. You may be interested in something for some time. Again, you may lose interest, and then you may explore something else again. Again, that also may not interest you. Then you may switch to something else again. So always, you'll be confused as to, you will not know along which direction you have to make efforts so as to reach, your goal. So as to, fulfill the purpose of your life. So you could be utterly confused. This can happen if Mercury is not well placed. This can also happen if Moon and the ascendant Lord are also not well placed, or all these results you can get. Now friends, if you have Ketu's dispositor, no matter where Ketu is placed, if Ketu's dispositor is also in the 3rd house, okay, say dispositor, say Ketu, you have Ketu in Sagittarius, okay, in your birth chart, in any house, say you have Ketu in Sagittarius, and Jupiter, say you have Ketu in Sagittarius, say in the 10th house, and Ketu's dispositor, that means where is Jupiter now? If Jupiter goes to the 3rd house, then we will say that Ketu's dispositor is there. So if you have Ketu's dispositor in the 3rd house, then also you can experience similar results. Okay? Yeah. So friends, now let's move on to Ketu in the 4th house or in Cancer. When you have Ketu in the 4th house or in the sign of Cancerian, in the sign of Cancer, okay, so the Cancer is a water sign, then what will happen? Generally it is not considered to be a good placement. What will happen? You may not initially, especially in the initial part of your life, you may feel feel unhappy when you're at home or in your homeland. You may always be dissatisfied with your life as long as you're in your homeland. But your life can take a turn for the better, or your life can transform if you move away from your homeland to a different place. From there actually your life can take a turn for the better, because you have Ketu in the 4th house. Alright? Now, a sense of restlessness, lack of peace of mind, okay, in your homeland or when you're at home, this can happen. You may have certain problems with your mother, some conflicts with your mother, so you can be somehow distanced from your mother, okay. Now, if Ketu is more or less being aspected by Jupiter, then the situation can be manageable. Or if Ketu's dispositor is well placed in the chart, that is, here it is Moon, because dispositor could be any planet if Ketu is in the 4th house. But if Ketu is in Cancer, then dispositor will be Moon. So if Ketu's dispositor is also well placed, then the situation will be such that you can be highly intuitive, okay, very intuitive, very creative. You can have creative abilities, you can have great in-depth knowledge of things. Your intuition can guide you all the time, okay. You can travel, you can undertake foreign travel also, alright. And if you move towards any field of intuition, any field of knowledge which is connected to the use of intuition, you will do very well in life. You can, because 4th house is naturally connected to Moon, and here you have now Ketu has come to the 4th house. It is also part of the moksha trine, the trine of intuition, compassion and moksha, or self-realization also. So if you are moving towards any field of knowledge which is connected to intuition, where you need to use your 6th sense, if you're into Vastu Shastra, if you are into any occult field of knowledge, then you will do good, you will do well actually, when you have Ketu in the 4th house, or even if you have Ketu in Cancer, you will do well. So especially if Ketu's dispositor is well placed, okay, you will do well. Otherwise there could be certain problems. Okay, you may experience obstacles in buying property. Whenever you go to buy some property or land or flat, you may experience problems, obstacles. There could be some disputes also in property matters. Okay, these things also you may have to face. You may feel very insecure about your assets. So all these things can happen. Yeah, if it is not so well placed in the 4th house, or if Ketu is in Cancer. Now friends, you can experience similar results when if you have Ketu's dispositor in the 4th house of your D1 chart. No matter where Ketu is placed, in whichever house, if Ketu's dispositor is also in the 4th house, you can experience similar results. Now let's move on to Ketu in the 5th house, or in the sign of Leo. When you have such a placement of Ketu, okay, what can happen? If Ketu is more or less well placed in the 5th house or in Leo, then again you will have great intuitive ability, great intuition. You can do meditation, you can get into mantra chanting, which can enhance your power of intuition. You can attain knowledge in any field which is connected to mysticism, any hidden, secretive, mysterious or mystical field of knowledge. You can go into the occult also when you have Ketu in the 5th house or even in Leo. You can be a very good astrologer also. You can be a very good psychologist as well. Okay, if Ketu is well placed. And Ketu here, because if it blesses you with great power of intuition, analytical ability, okay, a great you could have a strange ability to solve mysteries, because Ketu will bless you with analytical insights, strange insights into reality. You can be very intuitive, very critical. You can also do very well in any field of knowledge which is connected to research, investigation. Then Ketu here can make you very prosperous in life. Okay, so if Ketu is well placed in the 5th house or even in Leo, then it can be good for your child also. Your child also can be very intuitive, very analytical, and your child can do very well in the field of technology, in the field of chartered accountancy, or in the field of the occult, or even the field of law, even the field of any sort of investigation in medical science or surgery. Your child can do very well also, if it is well placed in the 5th house. Okay, then your romantic partner, you may be in love with somebody, they will also feel that they have a spiritual connection with you. They may be apart from you at times, they may be away from you, but you may have a spiritual connection even with your romantic partner if Ketu is well placed. But yes, you may be distanced from your romantic partner, that's possible. Again, if somehow you could be a little distanced from your child, this is possible. For some reason, somehow you could get distanced from your child, or you could experience obstacles in childbirth. It's possible. You may enter into conflicts with your child if it is not so well placed. If Ketu is not so well placed in the 5th house, and if Ketu's dispositor is not well placed, if it is in Leo, then you may encounter problems in education. Okay, these things can happen. You may have difficulty raising your child, problems in your education, these things. You may love somebody, but you may encounter problems in your romantic relationship. Somehow obstacles will be there and you could be distanced from your lover. All these things can happen. Now if you have Ketu's dispositor no matter where Ketu is placed in your chart. If Ketu's dispositor is in the 5th house, then also you can get similar results. Okay, all right. So now let's move on to Ketu in the 6th house or in the sign of Virgo. When you have Ketu in the 6th house or such a placement, if it is in the sign of Mercury, which is Virgo, it is generally considered to be good if Mercury is well placed in the chart, or if it's in the 5th house, Ketu is in the 6th house. So if Ketu's dispositor is well placed, then it could make you highly analytical in nature. It can bless you with penetrating intellect. You can have great intellectual powers. You'll be very intelligent. You will have a very systematic, methodical approach to life. Okay, then you could also, be very mysterious and secretive also. Okay, you will also know how to handle mystery and secrecy, that also. So all these things can happen. Then you can definitely go into any field of knowledge which is connected to research, analytical abilities. You can go into any field of knowledge. So you can do very well in the field of law, in the field of medicine, healthcare. You can do very well in any field of research, actually. Research and investigation. So, and you can rise in life. So if Mercury is well placed, if Ketu is more or less well placed in the 6th house, you can get very good results. Okay, and it can enable you to become very successful and prosperous in life also. Okay, and it can overall it can be good for you. So now if Ketu is not so well placed in the 6th house, what will happen? Then you may not have a very practical approach to life. Okay, you may set unrealistic targets for yourself on a day-to-day basis, which you may never be able to achieve, and then finally you will end up in frustration. Okay, you're setting unrealistic goals and targets for yourself. This will happen when Mercury is not well placed in the chart and Ketu is not so well placed in the 6th house. Okay, you will end up having conflicts with people at your workplace. Okay, and even for silly reasons you may enter into conflicts. You may not be able to focus on your day-to-day work. Okay, you may not be able to analyze situations properly. Okay, you may not have a proper critical approach to things. So these things, difficulty in seeing things properly, going to the depth of things and being able to see things in their entirety, or going to the bottom of the reality. So these abilities you will not have when Ketu is not so well placed in the 6th house. And then you will experience obstacles in your job life. At your workplace again, you may experience a lot of problems, difficulties. Your job, you may keep changing your jobs also. If Ketu is well placed, then also there could be a change of job, but that will happen for a good reason. Maybe you have got a better job which is giving you a better salary, then you will switch to that job. But if Ketu is ill placed in the 6th house, or if it is in Virgo and Mercury is not well placed, then the person may be even terminated from their job. So all these things. So okay, so these things. Now if Ketu, no matter where Ketu is placed, if Ketu's dispositor is also in the 6th house, then also you can experience similar results. Okay, Yeah. Now you may enter into trouble because you may land up in trouble because you've taken loans. Okay, you may not be able to follow a proper routine life, because of which you may have diseases again. So all these things. If you are fighting a legal case, if Ketu is not well placed, you may even lose that legal battle. You may lose that case. That is also possible. Now let's move on to Ketu in the 7th house, or in the sign of Libra. So when Ketu has such a placement, definitely it is not considered to be, generally not considered to be very good for your marital life. Somehow you may feel distanced from your partner. You may have a sense of dissatisfaction pertaining to your married life, pertaining to your relationship with your partner. Some dissatisfaction, some insecurity that may be there. Now, if Ketu is in the 7th house or in the sign of Libra, then you may also encounter obstacles in your partnership business or in your independent business. These things can happen. Okay? This is not generally considered to be a very good placement for Ketu in the 7th house. Okay? Now, if it is very ill placed, and also you need to look at Ketu's placement in the D9, then it can also lead to separation after marriage, even divorce. Now, if Ketu is in 7th house or in Libra, you may feel detached from your life partner also, from relationship. Now, this could be due to certain past life karma. Maybe in your previous life you were so involved in relationship that in this life you are kind of detached. But actually, when you have Ketu in the 7th house or in Libra, and if Ketu's dispositor is well placed, and here if Ketu is in Libra, if Venus is well placed in the chart, then the story could be different also. If it is well placed in the 7th house, then you may have a sense of responsibility and towards your partner. You may feel that you are spiritually connected to your partner. Okay? It can also be good for your marriage. Your spiritual bond will be very strong. You may be very responsible and loving towards them. That is also possible. You may have a very deep connection with them, a very soulful connection with your partner. If Ketu is well placed in the 7th house, then it is possible. Then definitely, if Ketu is well placed in the 7th house, and you have if Ketu is in Libra, Venus is well placed, then you can have great analytical ability. You can have great intelligence, which can also enable you to do well in your independent business. You may undertake foreign travel because of your independent business. Okay, your independent business, your marriage can transform your life for the better. So these results you will experience if Ketu is well placed in the 7th house. Now, wherever Ketu is placed in your chart, if Ketu's dispositor has gone to the 7th house, then also you can experience similar results. Okay friends, now let's move on to Ketu in the 8th house or in the sign of Scorpio. One second, the Ketu, if it is in the 7th house or in Libra, this is part of the trine of desires, okay, Kama Trikona, when Ketu is in Libra or in the 7th house. So that means you could feel detached from your desires. You could be if it is not so well placed, you are somehow not connected to your own desires. Actually, this can happen. Okay, but if it is well placed, then you will focus on fulfilling your desires in life. Yes. Now let's move on to Ketu in the 8th house or in the sign of Scorpio. This is part of the moksha trine, the trine of intuition, compassion, the trine of moksha or self-realization. So here actually, if you do meditation, yoga, pranayama, breathing exercise, some spiritual practice, religious practice, then you can do very well. Actually, you can connect with divine energies, you can connect with higher energies, all right, and you can attain self-realization also. You can do that. 1 second, friends. All right, so Ketu is now in the 8th house. Okay, here actually, if Ketu is more or less well placed, it can bless you with great power of intuition. You can have great intuitive insights into reality. That is why you can do very well in the field of the occult. If you're moving towards occult knowledge, you can do very well. You can go into astrology, tarot, into any occult field of knowledge. If Ketu is in the 8th house, you can do very well if you are into the field of law, if you are investigating any sort of case, criminal case, civil case, legal investigation. If you are undertaking any sort of investigation in the field of medical science, you will do very well. You can do very well as a surgeon in the field of surgery. You can do very well. You can do very well in chartered accountancy, whatever is connected to the 8th house. Okay, so you will do well, because here Ketu, which is more or less well placed, and if Ketu is in Scorpio, then if Mars is well placed in your chart, then you can have great ability to analyze things, to go to the depth of matters and get to the bottom of reality. Okay, so you'll have a very insightful, you will have great insights into reality, and so your power of intuition will get heightened. So you can do very well in all these fields which I mentioned just now. Now, Ketu in the 8th house, or even if it is in the sign of Scorpio, then again there could be some health issues, accidents also. You need to be careful. Okay, especially here if Ketu is in the 8th house, if it is connected to Mars or to your ascendant lord, then accidents, mishaps, or any surgery you may have to face. Ups and downs in your health also can happen. So when you have Ketu in the 8th house, you really need to do some meditation, breathing exercise. You really need to do. Okay, that is important, especially if it is connected to Mars or ascendant lord. Or even generally you can do, because if you do meditation, your intuition power will enhance and it will give you better results. And it will make you very intuitive. Okay, it can also make you very secretive and mysterious when you have Ketu in the 8th house also. So these results you can experience when you have Ketu in 8th house or in Scorpio. Whenever you also, you may think of, whenever you think of buying some property jointly with your spouse, you may encounter certain obstacles. This can happen. If Ketu is not so well placed in the 8th house, then some obstacles in, having joint assets with spouse, this can happen. Some conflicts with your in-laws can happen. But when Ketu is in your 8th house and not so well placed, or if it is more or less, in average dignity, and then also you will not have a very good intimate relationship with your spouse or with your partner. There could be lack of sexual compatibility with your partner when you have Ketu in the 8th house or in Scorpio. This is possible. Okay, then so these things also can happen. So when you have Ketu in the 8th house, it is very good for you to move towards self-realization through meditation. It is very good for you to move towards spiritual practices actually. Okay. So yeah, now if Ketu, no matter where Ketu is placed, if Ketu's dispositor is sitting in the 8th house, then also you can experience similar results. Alright? Yes. Now let's move on to Ketu in the 9th house or in Sagittarius. When Ketu has such a placement, and if it is well placed, here Ketu is believed to naturally exalt also. If it is more or less well placed, and if Ketu is in Sagittarius and Jupiter is well placed, then you can attain, you'll do very well if you attain, you can move towards higher knowledge, higher education. Okay. You may encounter obstacles in higher education, but if Ketu is more or less well placed in the 9th house, and if it is in Sagittarius and Jupiter is well placed and Ketu's dispositor is well placed, then finally you will focus on higher education and you will overcome all obstacles, and your higher education, higher knowledge will actually transform your life. That is also possible. Now, also you can do very well if your higher education is somehow related to research, investigation, if it is connected to the study of religion, philosophy, if it is connected to the study of the occult, then you will do very well. Exploring any sort of mysterious, hidden, secretive knowledge, you can do very well as a psychologist also, when you have Ketu in the 9th house or in Sagittarius. Okay, attaining knowledge can be the purpose of your life. That is possible. And it is through your knowledge. Again, this is part of the Dharma trine. So the trine of duty also, and also the trine of inherent nature and personality. So even identity. It is through your higher knowledge that you will be able to attain self-realization. You will be able to realize your identity or establish your identity in the world. Okay. If it is well placed in the 9th house, if it is in the sign of Sagittarius and Jupiter is well placed, you will also be very dutiful towards your father. You may be distanced from your father somehow, physically distanced, but you will be very dutiful towards your father. You will love your father. Okay. And your teachers, you will have a lot of respect for your teachers also. Okay. But if Ketu is not so well placed in the 9th house, or if its dispositor is not well placed, then what will happen? And if what will happen then? You will have conflicts with your father. Okay. You will not be dutiful towards your father. These things can happen. You will experience a lot of obstacles in attaining higher education. Okay. And you may also be confused also, that what should be my field of study, in which field I should acquire higher education, and that confusion will remain. So you really need, if Jupiter is not well placed in the chart, you need to seek guidance from somebody who can help you, some career counselor or astrologer who can help you out to find your path in life, to find your purpose in life. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, if Ketu is well placed in the 9th house, you can be very religious, you can also be very spiritual, and you can attain self-realization also. Now let's move on to, no matter where Ketu is placed in your chart, if Ketu's dispositor is in the 9th house, then also you can experience similar results. Now let's move on to Ketu in the 10th house or in the sign of Capricorn. So when you have such a placement of Ketu, then definitely there can be changes in your profession. Changes, challenges, obstacles also. But if Ketu is more or less well placed in the 10th house, if its dispositor is well placed, if Ketu is in Capricorn and if Saturn is well placed, then those challenges will transform your life actually for the better. It is your profession which is going to transform or change your life for the better. Okay, a positive transformation will come into your life. Maybe you were doing something else until and you were doing, maybe you were in the field of teaching or some other field, all right, or you were into any field, maybe you were doing any sort of job. Then later on you may switch to something else. This can happen, some other line of profession, when Ketu is in Capricorn or in the 10th house. You may change your line of profession. Why? Because you attained some sort of self-realization, or actually you realized from within. You could, somehow make out that what is the real purpose, of my life. So I should work along this direction. So this will happen when Ketu is very well placed in the 10th house, and if Ketu is in Capricorn, if Saturn is well placed. There can be a change in your profession, but that change will be for a good reason. It will be a very beautiful decision of your life, which will transform your life in a very big way. People around you may not support you initially, but you will believe in your goals. This will happen when Ketu is well placed in Capricorn or in the 10th house. You will believe in your goals, your professional goals. You know what is your karma in this life, that I have to work along this direction. I have to, that is my karma in this lifetime. And these things will happen if Ketu is well placed. So your job changed, or your line of profession has changed for a good reason. Okay? So that you can become more prosperous, and you can really, attain self-realization, and you can actually fulfill the real purpose of your life. It has changed for a good reason. 10th house is part of the Artha Trikona. So if Ketu is well placed in the 10th house, you will figure out along which direction you need to make efforts, and you will have a very methodical, systematic approach to things. You will do well in your profession finally. You will end up becoming very prosperous and even wealthy. But if Ketu is not so well placed in the 10th house, and Ketu's dispositor is not well placed, Ketu is in Capricorn, Saturn is also not well placed, then again you may be confused. What should be my line of profession? You were doing some job, you left that job, or you were terminated. Now you're looking for another job. Or at your workplace you have conflicts with your superiors, seniors, or with your colleagues. You may have conflict with higher authorities. Okay? So you are not able to see any growth in your job, in your professional life, which can lead to frustration, a sense of directionlessness, that okay, what is my direction finally, what I should do, and you could be utterly lost when it comes to professional life. You could be very dissatisfied with your profession. These things can also happen when Ketu is not so well placed in the 10th house, or if Ketu is in Capricorn and Saturn is not so well placed, then all these things can happen. Okay? So then actually you should seek guidance from somebody who can help you figure out what should be your line of profession. So yeah, now no matter where Ketu's dispositor is placed, no matter where Ketu is placed in the chart, if Ketu's dispositor is in the 10th house, then also you can experience similar results. If it is well placed in the 10th house or in Capricorn, then you will become very successful in your profession. You will have great public image also. Profession can be connected to the field of occult knowledge, to any research, investigation, to medical science investigation, or it could be connected to the field of surgery, to the field of law, to chartered accountancy, whatever is connected to the 9th house, 10th house, 12th house. You could be into yoga, meditation, and you could be into religious practices. So you could conduct higher studies in religion, philosophy, in the occult. So yeah, I mean, profession also could be Ketu is also connected to medicine. So then you will do well in your profession. Ketu is also connected to foreign land. Maybe if you move to a foreign land, you will do better in your profession. Now, let's move on to Ketu in the 11th house or in Aquarius. This is part of the trine of desires. It is the Kama Trikona. If Ketu is not so well placed in the 11th house or in Aquarius, then such a person may be very confused about what they actually want in life. They may also have unrealistic desires. They may make unrealistic plans for themselves, which they are perhaps never going to achieve. They will set unrealistic goals for themselves, which they can never reach. Okay? They tend to live in a make-believe world of fantasy actually. And they will have all kinds of impractical, idealistic, unrealistic, unnecessary desires, which can make them miserable also. This will happen if Ketu is not well placed in the 11th house, and if Ketu is in Aquarius, and if Saturn is not well placed. Okay, then you may encounter obstacles in attaining income. Your growth in profession may be retarded. Okay, obstacles in getting the proper gains from your profession, from your endeavors. All these things can happen if it is not well placed. So, past life. In your past life, you were so obsessed with your desires and with your gains. You were so obsessed, maybe even with wealth. So that is why maybe in this lifetime you have Ketu in the 11th house. And so in this lifetime you don't know how to earn wealth. You could be confused utterly. This can happen. But Ketu in the 11th house, you have to understand what the planet is trying to tell you. Ketu is actually your sense of intuition. Ketu is your able to analyze things. Ketu is actually connected to your focus and attention. It is connected to going within yourself, introspection. So if you are able to understand that, then you will do some meditation. You will connect with your inner self and you will figure out what you should do to gain from your profession. So that if Ketu is not so well placed also, seek the guidance of some guru or astrologer or guide who can help you out. Because that guide or teacher will come into your life as Jupiter. And whenever Jupiter's aspect will fall on a planet, then Jupiter's aspect is always benefic. Okay? So if Jupiter is naturally not aspecting Ketu in your birth chart, then seek the guidance of some guru or teacher to figure out how you can gain from your endeavors, how you can fulfill your desires in this lifetime so that you can be prosperous. Now let's come to what will happen when Ketu is well placed. If Ketu is well placed in the 11th house or in Aquarius, you can do very well in the field of research and investigation. You can gain from your analytical skills, your analytical ability, your critical thinking, your methodical and systematic approach to things. Okay? Your ability to focus on details, your ability to, conduct in-depth research and investigation. So all these qualities will enable you to gain from your endeavors, from your profession. So these things will happen when Ketu is well placed in the 11th house. If it is well placed, you will be dutiful towards your elder siblings. And this is part of the trikona of karma, that is desire. So you'll be able to accomplish or fulfill all your desires also. Even your desire to become, prosperous in life. You'll be able to become prosperous. You'll be able to, network also, connect with people. And people can also, because this is part of the trine of desires. So you will be dutiful. You will have a sense of responsibility towards your siblings. You will have, because here from the 11th house, as per Bhrigunandi Nadi Jyotish, Ketu will also aspect your 3rd house. So that is why elder siblings, younger siblings. So you will have a sense of duty and responsibility towards them. You will love them actually, even if you are distanced from them. Okay? So if it is well placed, then you will experience such results. You will have spiritual connection with your spouse also. And you will attain prosperity in life. Now, no matter where Ketu is placed in your chart, if Ketu's dispositor is also in the 11th house, you can get such results. Now let's move on to Ketu's position, the final placement. If Ketu is placed in your 12th house or in Pisces, what will happen? This placement generally makes somebody very intuitive, imaginative, okay? They also can be very mysterious and secretive. You can have great powers of imagination, okay? So you can also, even Ketu is in Pisces or in the 12th house, and if Jupiter is well placed in your chart, and if it has some connection with Mercury or 3rd house, you can be a very good fictional writer. If Ketu is in the 12th house, you will have great power of imagination. So we'll say imaginative faculty. Yeah, very good painter, fictional writer. Okay, you can be very creative. You can be in any field of creativity or arts, artistic abilities you will have. You can be very intuitive actually, because 12th house is part of the moksha trikona or moksha trine. So you will have great intuition ability. So you can do very well in the field of astrology, into any field of occult knowledge. If you will do very well. You can do well if you move towards meditation, yoga. You can do very well. You can be a spiritual preacher also, because 12th house is naturally ruled by Jupiter. So you can be a very good preacher, a religious preacher. You can be a spiritual guide to people. You can impart your knowledge to people. You can impart your knowledge to people. And you can show them the path. Okay? You will have compassion for people. You will have compassion for the unprivileged. You can move towards any sort of sadhana, spiritual practice, even religious practice, and you can attain self-realization. You will believe in charity and compassion. So more or less, if Ketu is well placed in the 12th house, and if Ketu is in Pisces and Jupiter is well placed, then it's a very good placement for moving towards the occult or psychology also. You can be a very good psychologist, because you'll be highly intuitive in nature. Okay, you'll have great ability to see things. Okay, and great foresight you will have. Now, if Ketu is not so well placed, then what will happen? If Ketu is not so well placed, if you go to a foreign land, your life may undergo ups and downs. Supposing you have to go to a foreign land, you go there, You may encounter obstacles there if Ketu is not so well placed in the 12th house. Then there could be hidden enemies and you may not know how to deal with them. You may enter into conflicts with people and those people could be your hidden enemies also. Okay, if Ketu is not so well placed in the 12th house, then you can have hidden fears. Okay, and you could it will be very difficult for you to connect with your inner self or higher self if it is not well placed. Ketu's dispositor, and Ketu is in the 12th house, and if then it can also make you sick also. You could have health issues also, especially if Ketu is in the 12th house and it has connection with your moon or ascendant lord or Mars. Then you can have health issues if it is not well placed in the 12th house, or if Ketu is in Pisces and if Jupiter is not well placed. Okay, so these things can happen. So you may encounter problems in life because of too much of expenditure, or you may encounter losses in your profession, loss of money, loss of health. All these things can happen. 12th house is the house of hospitalization. Ketu is connected to surgery. Okay, so when Ketu is in the 12th house or in Pisces, you really need to maintain proper routine life. You have to maintain, because when Ketu will be in the 12th house, Rahu is in the 6th house. Then it becomes very challenging for you to maintain a healthy routine life. But you have to maintain that. Okay? Otherwise, there could be health issues. Yes? So, yeah. So, when Ketu is in the 12th house, you need to do meditation. You need to maintain a healthy routine life. You need to do breathing exercise. Alright? And you need to move towards some spiritual practice. You should practice charity, help the downtrodden, and move towards self-realization. So, if you are into any field of occult knowledge or psychology or any field of knowledge which is connected to the 8th house or 9th house, even into religious philosophy, or any field of knowledge connected to the 12th house. 12th house is also connected to meditation. It is connected to the occult also. Then you can be prosperous also in life. Okay, then definitely you can be prosperous. Ketu can make you very successful also in your endeavors in life. But yes, Ketu in the 12th house or in Pisces can make you highly intuitive actually. You just need to do meditation on a regular basis and connect with some divine energy. Alright? So if you have Ketu, no matter where Ketu is placed in your chart, if Ketu's dispositor is in the 12th house, then also you can experience similar results. Okay? So yes friends, that was my take on Ketu. And Ketu in the 12th house, it can show that in this lifetime, you were born to attain self-realization in this lifetime. Okay, on the basis of your past life karma, you've got Ketu in the 12th house. So you need to do some spiritual or religious practice, some meditation. Then definitely you can attain self-realization in this lifetime. So friends, that was my take on Ketu in all houses and zodiac signs. So yes, do let me know what you think in the comment box. If you want personal consultation, you can text or WhatsApp me. Details are there in the video description. And yeah, do like, share, subscribe, and friends, support this channel of yours. And yeah, before I wind up, a gentle reminder: be kind to all animals, birds and creatures. Take care of your parents and elders, and be kind and compassionate to the unprivileged and downtrodden. Thank you so much.